Yeah, this is Cheap Books, playing World of Tanks. You're going to see some spotting and scouting and mostly light tank videos. You're going to see some passive spotting, and you can see some active scouting, some of which I guarantee you have never seen before. And I know you haven't seen it before because I play this game, and I don't see other people using these techniques, and that's how I know it's going to be something new that you haven't seen before. And hopefully there's going to be some light tank hit-and-run style maneuvers and maybe some sniping. On to the videos. This map is Ruinberg. I'm only going to show you the beginning of the game. The tank is blocking me, but you want to go to the center of the map. I'm going to head in that direction. You want to have good spotting range. The reason I kind of forgot about the tactic. I guess I haven't played in a while. So you'll notice those tanks spotted in the distance. They're all heading to town. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them off in this little alley. And if you watch my older videos, you're going to see me do this all the time. You come over here to the spotting bush, and you set up and you watch for tanks to cross, and you just take shots at them. Most of them will keep on going. If it's a heavily armored tank like a Mouse or a Type 5 Heavy, they're going to stop, or an E100 might stop. Here goes M103. Take a shot at him. Keeps on going. We've got a Chrysler GF coming across. E100. E100 is the type of tank that's going to stop and shoot back at me. He's unspotted. You take a shot at him. Notice he stopped. He's a well-defended tank. He took a shot at me. Got 2 shots at him. There's a Centurion coming at me. Chrysler GF is out there. He stopped. He thinks he's got good armor, not on his side. It didn't damage him, unfortunately. I pulled back to make myself more hull down. Did some damage to him as he's on his way over. So I hit 4 tanks. And there's a Centurion right in front of me. This tank is the T-49. It's an American Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Malinovka. Now, the first thing I do when I spot on this map is I just go straight across the field. And you can go pretty deep. You can go pretty much to halfway through the field, usually without being spotted. This tank doesn't have good camouflage on it, so I was very lucky to be able to make it that far. I do not have full camo on my crew members on this tank. Got 686 spotting damage. You want to do this spotting run. Let your tanks get as much damage as they can to soften up the enemy. Got 1,200 spotting damage already. That's enough to almost kill 1 tank. Now you got to do follow-up spotting runs. The key is to keep on spotting those tanks. So I'm going to go in and notice that I'm watching my white circle, which is my spotting range. I was spotted. I'm not sure yet why I was spotted, but I was spotted, so I fell back into this position. Normally you don't want to stop. If I stopped, there had to be some reason why I stopped. You want to keep that engine going. You got to watch your white circle. You see where the enemy AMX 1390 is in the F7 area? You don't want that white circle to be within his range, because that means he'll be able to spot you. So I'm keeping the white circle such that the AMX 1390 will not be able to spot me. I'm going to keep on riding. It looked like somebody shot at me, but I really don't think someone did. I think it was shooting at someone behind me. If you want, you can sit in these bushes, turn on your binocs, and do some passive spotting. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on doing active spotting. You go deep. If you see something, you turn around and come back. And keep track of how deep you're going. Assume that it's safe to go to the same amount you went on the last run. And if it's not, and each time you go a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. Look at where I am on that mini-map, and you'll see that this is a maneuver that a lot of people would not do. It's very dangerous. You can see that someone is telling me, it says scout, don't bother. I'm going to get 5,300 spotting damage. He has no idea how much good I'm going to do. It's going to be enough to kill quite a few tanks. So I got spotted, so I got to hightail it out of here, do some zigzag runs, get into the lower level, hang a right, do a handbrake turn to avoid artillery, stay low. This time I'm taking up a different position. I'm looking for a passive spotting position to turn the binocs on. Going into the lower dip. staying behind this mound, using the mound so the enemy can't hit me. If you get incoming fire, get into the water, because the water is even lower, and if they're far away, it's going to be hard for them to hit you. Notice that the reason why I made that run is because the AMX 1390 is out of the game, or no, he's not in that position anymore. So I'm going back to my old spotting maneuver. I got 2,400 spotting damage. And I'm going to keep those tanks spotted. And as my team kills them off, we're going to keep on advancing and pressure that front line. Those tanks like that T-28 prototype, he's pinned down. He can't shoot towards our front line because of the position that he's in. So I spotted that Waffenträger. When you get to a certain score, let's say that once you get 8 kills, it's a lot safer to drive across the center here. The next step, obviously, doing this active scouting, you want to go to the enemy side where those buildings are and get up on those buildings and find a bush over there where you can spot the enemy backfield. Keep them spotted. You'll notice in the south that the Schwarzpanzer has won. I went too far, so the WZ probably spotted me. Got to watch that white circle. Know where the enemy is. Only re-spot. We're not looking for new spots anymore. The Schwarzpanzer and the Conqueror won in the south, so I can help them. I can go and head for those houses, take up a bush, sit there, put on the binocs, keep the backfield spotted for them. Right now, the backfield is completely unspotted, and there's at least 4 tanks there. So find a bush, turn on those binocs, don't knock down any trees. Binocs came on, did not spot anything, so I got to take up a new position. And keep an eye on that Waffenträger. Make sure he's outside of that white circle. The KV is going to be behind that windmill. He's pretty much going to stay in that position for a long time. Move to the next bush. You can see that there's a few gaps in the bushes along this line. Now, ideally, I wanted my team to take this guy out, but the only one that's going to be able to take him out is the artillery. The Schwarzpanzer and the Conqueror are going to have difficulty hitting that tank because of the way he's positioning himself. When he's hiding the most is when I cross over that gap. There's trees blocking the way. Now we got that Waffenträger permanently spotted. He cannot stay in that position anymore. He has to leave. And there's a T-28 in front of me, probably in the same position. He's afraid. Oh, it looks like he did move. The score is 8-3. I got 2,800 spotting damage. There's going to be a lot more spotting damage coming down. The KV-5 is retreating. The Schwarzpanzer has advanced to the position I was last at. Now we're starting to corner in the enemy. We won in the north on the hill. I got 3,000 spotting damage. I got a gap in front of me. So the choice is you either go to the next row of bushes, which is right there, or you cross the gap and go to the next building. Now remember, his gun cannot turn all the way around. So he's not a threat right now, and he's out of the game. So I decided to move to the bushes. I wasn't spotted, so I'm going to pin down that KV-5. I'm going to get in a position to proximity spot him. So he's going to be spotted from now on unless he leaves that position. Certainly he's not going to come after me. The score is 10-3. He's got to reverse. He has no choice. Now it's 11-4. He took a shot at me. I'm going to go in. Probably not. Oh, he's out of the game. I got 3,800 spotting damage. I'm not worried about my hit points anymore. I'm going to do whatever I can to locate the enemy. Hopefully my team will take them out, and my team is taking them out. And that's the game. So I ended up with 5,300 spotting damage. The score was 15-4, and it was an easy win. And that's a combination of a scouting run, some active spotting, some passive spotting, and advancing the team. This tank is the AMX 1390. It's a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Lakeville. I absolutely recommend these tanks. The AMX, the ELC, the French light tanks, starting around Tier 5 and going up to at least Tier 9. I haven't played Tier 10 yet. They're excellent tanks. They're some of the best tanks in the game. If you like to play light tanks, you're going to want to play these tanks. They're very low profile, that you've got auto loaders, and they've got good speed. So I came to this spotting position. It's almost as far north as you're going to go. You'll notice I can spot all the way to the north, all the way to that red line. If you're at that bush on the other side, I'm about equivalent to that. However, I'm further north, so I can spot those northern tanks better than someone who's at that bush. This is about as far as you need to go. You can go further north if you want to. Now that tank is probably very confused. He's going to be spotted for a long time. You can not only spot the light tanks, but you can spot all their snipers that'll be back here. Obviously they don't have any. So you can do a lot of spotting. I've already got 3,000 spotting damage in the first minute and a half. So we really softened up the enemy team. We've only got 3 tanks going to town. As far as we know, they only have 1 tank going to town. We'll have to find out if that's correct or not. Oh, it looks like they got a second tank in town. Now you gotta be here until that guy is dead. Help your team kill off that tank, because he can cause a lot of trouble. Now that it looks like spotting is dried up, I have to find a new position. The safest thing to do is to go through town. Or if you really don't know what to do, head back towards your team. Spotted a lot of tanks in the town. I got spotted, which is too bad. What I should have done is waited. I should have parked in a bush immediately. As soon as the SU-1 and 2244 was spotted, I should have parked in a bush and stopped advancing forward. And if I wasn't spotted, allow my team to kill him. So now what I have to do is I have to get close to him to keep him spotted. You got to do proximity spotting on that tank. Let your allies take those 2 tanks out. You can see that they are shooting at the SU. I did get spotting damage from the artillery on the SU-122. The UDES is no threat. He's not coming after me. The artillery went after me. So obviously I could get in. There's other positions I can go to be safe from the artillery. I have quite a bit of time before the artillery takes another shot. The UDES is out of the game. That makes it a lot easier for me. You got to get that SU spotted very quickly. You don't want your team to move on to another target. I've already got 5,300 spotting damage. You want your team... It's not good enough to just sit here. You got to get that tank spotted as quickly as possible so your team goes after him instead of focusing on other tanks. I'm not going to confront him unless his gun is pointed away from me. He did take a shot at me. I wasn't intending to bait him. I was just trying to reposition for a better position against the enemy arty. I'm going to let my team work their way into town, see if we can find that enemy artillery. Oh, it looks like I decided to turn around and go back, or what's going on here? Oh, looking for a sniping position in the town through that road. I was unable to get a sniping position on the road, but it looks like my ally could use some help. It's a 3-on-1 situation. But let's see what we can do here. Got 5,700 spotting damage. Look for the easiest tank. Something's going on with that IS-6. Used up all my rounds. So I was able to help the IS get killed. We lost our tank. The IS-6 is AFK apparently, but I guess I didn't realize it at the time. I think it's going to come into play later in the game. I got 6,000 spotting damage, and I did 700 damage with my gun. Now, there's two ways to handle this. I'm reloaded. Keep driving around. First, you want to find where that tank is. So just drive around and hope to spot him. Don't engage him. First, figure out where he is. Remember, I'm the only one on my flank, so I got no one to support me. Going up and down these roads just to see if I could spot him. Because I want to come up on him from behind, not head on. He spotted me. Now the key is to either go away from him and snipe at him now that I know where he is, or get close to him and try and maneuver so that I come in at him where his gun is pointed in the opposite direction. The score is 10-7. I decided to snipe from a distance, looking for a sniping position. It's not easy. Sounds easy, but it's not easy. The road is not straight. You don't have a straight line of sight on that position. And again, I'm doing this all alone, no backup from my team. Getting very close. There's the IS. Gun looks like he's pointed away from me. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's the IS-6. The IS was killed. I haven't realized yet that the IS-6 is AFK. It says IS on the mini-map, but it's really the IS-6 it's cut off. So, we know now where all the enemy tanks are. It's me and the IS-6. I think I'm going to realize that he's AFK. He's not responding. Always shoot for where the ammo is. You want to shoot for wherever you can do the most damage. It's either going to be the ammo rack or the engine. So what I was doing was aiming for where I thought his ammo rack would be. And that's the game. I got 1,600 damage, 6,000 spotting damage, and 1 kill. This tank is the AMX 1390. It's a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Lakeville. I'm going to do 5,500 spotting damage. I'm going to get 1 kill, and we're going to win this game easily. Now, before I used to spot over in this direction. You can see where the RU-251 is heading, into that little area next to the rock. But lately what I've been doing is I've been heading down this way, and the reason why is because you can spot the tanks on the entire lake road. And you can spot some of the tanks that are heading to town. And this is not the most forward position. You really want to go a little bit more forward. But we got targets to shoot at, so let's deal with these targets first. The good thing about this particular position is that you can double bush if you want to, and you have a rock that adds some protection. You can see that one tank is already out of the game, which is a Chrysler GF. And the Scorpion is really low on hit points, and I've got 800 spotting damage already. He's right at the edge of my spotting range. However, the UDAS is also possibly right there. And taking a Scorpion G out of the game early is really important because they have really powerful guns. Scorpion Gs are high priority targets and they're easy to kill. You'll notice that it looked like the UDAS was trying to get away, but he failed to do a good job leaving. I don't see anybody else within the spotting range. I got 2,000 spotting damage in the first 2.5 minutes. We got one more tank to get rid of. That's a tank that I could have taken a shot at, no problem. We did not spot any enemy tanks on the way to town. And there's a lot of enemy tanks in the valley. So that's going to be a difficult situation we're going to have to deal with. Now, this is a good spotting position to use as a secondary position. Once you've cleaned out the road, you can advance to this position. Or if you're really got a lot of guts, you can come here first. Because I'm still testing, I think this is the position that I want to use in the future. Just got to practice finding the fastest way to get here. There is a tank that was right there, so I do have to be careful about him. I know that there's a lot of enemy tanks on the west side, and they're possibly lightly defended on the east side. So I'm not And we got a lot of tanks over here. So I'm not that worried. I think I can drive around on the east side and do some nasty work. I got 3,000 spotting damage. A good spotter can turn the course of the game. Now, if you want to take that shot, the best thing to do is fire a high explosive round. He has very weak armor. It's going to penetrate easily, and you can do a lot of damage. Now, one of the philosophies I have, obviously, if there's a tank that's spotted and you need to spot him for your allies, my allies are shooting at him, I'm going to sit here and wait until that tank is either no longer spottable or he's out of the game. And then you move on to the next target. So now I have nothing that I can spot. I have to move on to find a new target. The WZ looks like a good hit-and-run target. We had a spotter who was on the south of the lake, who somebody detected. Perhaps it was me. I got 1,400 spotting damage. Perhaps he was ammo racked. He was basically right there on the other side of the house. You could see his dead vehicle, the RU-251. So now from over here, what do we have? We've got a bush over here to spot at. Maybe I won't get spotted. The smart thing to do is to go left. Now you'll see that a lot of the enemy tanks are at the base area. I've got over 5,000 spotting damage, 500 damage. Obviously, it's very easy to advance here because you're on a lower level. The slope of the land will keep you well, you can get spotted, but they can't really shoot at you. They're just going to see the top of your turret. I always repair my gun. The Bat Chat unfortunately fired. Got an autoloader right in front of him. Now, obviously, if I had stayed next to him, I could have fired my final shot without having to wait for the gun to come around. So I got 5,400 spotting damage. Let's take a look at what's going on. They have 6 tanks remaining in the game, one of which is an SPG. No, wait, I'm sorry. They have 5 tanks remaining in the game. This has not been recorded yet by the game, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know all 5 enemy tanks are right over there. One of them has his gun pointed at me. 2 of them have their guns pointed at me, the STRV and the T-32.
I don't see the target. Target lost.
This is a good time to reload. Scores 12-3. I can move around a little bit without being spotted. And they've all turned. The M46 just turned his gun away from me. Once I'm reloaded, I can go out and do some damage. No need to do any spotting.
Ready to fire. Enemy armor is damaged. They're knocked out.
Got the kill. I got 1 kill, 1,100 damage, 5,500 spotting damage. Score was 15-4. It was a very easy game, and that's how you do it.
Time to roll out.
Yeah, this tank is the AMX 1357GF, and the map is Lakeville. I am going to get 3 kills, and you're going to see some good hit-and-run gameplay in this particular video. This is a premium Tier 7 French light tank, and it is my absolute favorite tank in the game. This is a tank that I most enjoy playing. And I'm not taking into consideration penetration or damage or specifications. Just pure joy of playing. This is a tank that I like to play. I wish this were a Tier 10 tank. But of course, with the appropriate penetration and damage for Tier 10. Now, I was spotted on the way to my spotting location. Now, if I fire and there's no splash, it means I hit him. So it does mean that I hit him. There was no splash. He moved, so the second shot missed. I come out to here. A lot of people spot where my Allied T-49 is. that's good and everything, but the problem with his spotting position is you cannot spot the enemy tanks that are in the north of the Lakeville Road, or it's very dangerous to do so. From the position that I'm in, I can spot the entire Lakeville Road, plus I can spot tanks such as the Tiger 1, which are up in the north. But you don't want to be in this position. I didn't make it to the spotting position. You want to be at least one sector further in the north. I got delayed on my way there, but I'm going to, you know, when I play this game, I try to maneuver to get closer to that position. You'll notice that the IS is alone behind the cathedral. I only see an IS tank. I don't see any other enemy tanks. So he's a lone target. He's the type of tank, oh, there's another tank there, T-32. But that IS is a target that you can go after. And now he's a one-shot. So absolutely go after that IS. So he's out of the game. And because I got an ally going with me, I'm going to help with the T-32 also. Unfortunately, I got hit by the artillery. My crew is stunned, and I do not have the first aid kit for this game. Although I am changing it. I'm not going into games without a first aid kit anymore. You can see that he still has me spotted, but he's out of the game. So that was a hit and run. An ally and me in the bat chat, we took out 2 tanks. I got my first kill. Now the key is, the valley is, we need a lot of help in the valley. So in order for me to help, I would go around to the north and get behind. Now you'll notice that we got the Tiger and the T-34. You got to look for hit and run. You got 10 rounds loaded. See if you can do hit and run on that Tiger. Find a route, knock down houses if you have to. Get them on that auto aim. Sloppy driving. He's out of the game. Probably didn't even notice I was there. Now for the T-34, if you're going to be the frontmost, you want to spot him and let your allies take him out. And they don't need our help on that middle road anymore, but he's gone. So now, sloppy driving, flipped over. Got 2 kills. I'm sure an ally is going to flip me back over because otherwise I would have not made my 3rd kill. Amazed how often, half the time, allies don't even help. So thanks to the IS-6 for helping me out. Now you want to do 2 things. You want to spot those tanks that are in the valley so your team can go in and kill them. And you want to find anyone that's all by himself and go in and gang up on them with that autoloader. And it looks like that T-20 is going to be a vulnerable tank. I could easily take him out. Little bit sloppy driving. So it looks like I did ram him, and I received 241 damage. Okay, now this is what happened. What I believe happened, you might have to rewind it. I think my driver was injured, and I don't have the first aid kit. So when I went to make the turn, I drove as if I normally do with a healthy driver, which is why I rammed him. I didn't realize I had the injured driver. So when I went to go make my turn, it just didn't turn properly, so I ended up hitting him. That's what happened in this game. I got 3 kills, 858 damage, 1,200 spotting damage, and I decided I'm no longer going to go out without the first aid kit. So my remaining light tanks, I'm going to remove the food consumable, leave the fuel consumable, and have the first aid kit added. The score is 10-7. I'm not going to show you the rest of the game. Let's move on to another video. Yeah, this tank is the Su-101. This is a Russian Tier 8 tank destroyer, and the map is Lakeville. I am going to get 2,500 spotting damage in this game. One of the reasons why you don't get as much spotting damage, you can, oh, sorry about that. You can easily spot tanks, but you have to have allies that are shooting at those tanks, and a lot of allies are more concerned with getting into their destination So they really don't snipe at tanks as much as they could. Obviously, if they did, you'd get a lot more spotting damage and you'd win a lot more games. You'll notice that my spotting range is right at the limit of 445, so my spotting is not very good. That T-26E5 was not spotted by me. He was probably spotted by another tank. But this tank, for me, doesn't spot far enough. And therefore, we were unable to spot many tanks on the way to town. The M41 Bulldog, we got a T-54 lightweight, and I believe the other tank is a T-100 LT. We did not do good spotting in this game. I've already got 785 spotting damage for spotting the AMX 1390 and the STA-1, which are the two tanks immediately in front of me. And I definitely recommend this bush. I mean, if you're a beginner, you go for the bush behind you right there. But you really want to make it to this bush, and, you know, 90% of the time you're going to make it without being spotted. I got 1,000 spotting damage here. I always go for this, even if I've got a heavier tank or a slower tank. Now, you'll notice that you can snipe down this road over here. I haven't taken any shots yet, but you can hit lots of tanks as they cross over in this gap. And when you reposition, you'll be able to hit tanks that are around the cathedral-type building, but you can't do it from this position. You can do it, you can't see that, from over here where this rock is. There's a small rock that you can get hull down behind, and a larger rock to deflect enemy incoming shots from the north. So you can see we spotted a Scorpion G. That AMX took some more damage on its way out. So from over here, if you look into town, there's a T-26E5, and from here I can get shots on his rear. I should be a little bit over to the left more in order to get that clear shot. In this position right here, I'll be able to hit that guy. Unfortunately, wasn't able to aim in time, but he's out of the game anyway. Someone else did kill him. Because of my gun depression, I cannot hit that tank right in front of me. And he was able to get away. I got 1,500 spotting damage. And again, this is not really equipped. This is only equipped at 445 meters, just under the spotting range. So it's pretty good considering that I don't have good spotting range. You'll notice that there's other enemy tanks out in the backfield there. They did not really go to town. A lot of their tanks never made it to town. The safe thing to do is to keep advancing down this road. Contrary to what you believe, it can be safer to advance down the road. If you do get spotted, you do want to hide. Okay, so I got 2,500 spotting damage. Lots of places to hide here. You got this rock over here. You got a rock over here, which also has that rock over there. That's actually a pretty safe place to be, is right there in that little corner. The game's over for me. The score is 6-3. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is a Type 64. It's a Chinese Tier 6 light tank. The map is Serene Coast. We're going to do a spotting position. One of the ways to spot this is to go up on the rail over here, get as high as you can, and keep on driving until you spot a bunch of enemy tanks. You can do it from the north, you can do it from the south. The other thing I like to do is go to this house over here where this double bush is and sit in one of these bushes. Spot tanks in the distance and snipe at them. Usually you can shoot at them without being spotted. And if you get spotted, all you got to do is roll back a couple inches and that's it. I love this tank. This is one of my favorite tanks in the game. If there's artillery in the game, so you do have to worry about artillery. Because artillery can hit you. Remember, if you get spotted, chances are you're going to be one of the first tanks spotted, so you will have incoming artillery fire. Only got 135 spotting damage. It's very important not only to spot this, but to encourage your allies to come here and set up a sniping position. Okay, so let's move on to another video. This tank is the AMX 1390. It's a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Serene Coast. So we're going to see some early spotting. Notice that I pinged the map for the H7 area. Let my allies know that that's where we're going to be spotting some enemy tanks. Come over here to my normal spotting position. Very dangerous. We've got a T-49 who could easily spot me. I'd like to point out that I prefer to spot next to this. Where's that house? The house with the orange roof right over here, and through behind these bushes where this tree is, there's some bushes over there. That's where I prefer to spot, not all the way back where that T-49 is. Get a lot more coverage from that house with the orange roof. From here you can do sniping. Sometimes you'll get spotted, sometimes you won't. Notice I corrected my angle to put my stronger armor facing forward. I got 274 spotting damage, so someone did take a shot already. Those tanks are very vulnerable there. If you're a lower tier tank, or you have a weak penetrating gun, and they're highly armored guns, you can use high explosive rounds. You won't do a lot of damage, but you will do damage where the AP won't, and it's cheaper than using the APCR. And obviously you want to hit them perpendicular. Because it's an autoloader, you got to hit them as soon as you see them, because you need that reload time if you want to get a second set of rounds in. Miss that shot. Got to reload. You're not going to get a lot of spotting damage without artillery. And the reason why is because your team just isn't used to setting up sniping positions for this. So after this, you advance, and but this is just to show the initial spotting position. Let's move on to the next video.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, this map is Serene Coast, and the tank is the RU-251. This is a German Tier 9 light tank. I'm going to show you the spotting maneuver that I use on Serene Coast. What I do is I drive out. There's a bunch of bushes you can pick from, and I pick one of the bushes. Usually I pick the one that I am rolling into right now. I got spotted along the way, so I'm going to reposition to where the house is, and I'm going to spot from where the house is. And I got to keep an eye on that WZ, because I want to make sure that he doesn't come after me. If you look at the minimap, he's getting closer to me, but he just took a hit, so he's diverting, but he's also unspotted. If he's a good player, he might come after me, and there he is. He's right on me, but he's also low on hit points. So I am turning, trying to stay surrounded by buildings as much as possible.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Plow through buildings. If you got to plow through buildings, just plow through them.
Our gas tank's ruptured. We're low on fuel. Enemy armor is destroyed.
Now I'm going to head for as many solid buildings as possible, turning to the left here, almost, just missed a shot, staying surrounded by buildings, but yet getting ready to get back into position immediately to keep those enemy tanks spotted. Normally I do not get spotted when I go to this position. And often I can fire my gun without being spotted. However, the WZ was there. The WZ was what spotted me, obviously. I did get 1,700 spotting damage, and I did 860 damage on my own. So we see that there's an AMX TD setting up in the background. It looks like, because of that little action, it may have delayed the enemy, because they did not go to the peninsula, and we have 2, 4, 6, 7 tanks on the peninsula, plus a sniper in the back. Those tanks are still spotted. And I got targets to shoot at, so I'm going to continue doing that.
Target acquired. Bail out. This vehicle is had it.
Now this is not a good angle. It's a very bad angle, showing too much of the side armor. What I should have done all the time that I was sitting in that bush, I should have corrected my angle. And unfortunately, I did not get away fast enough in order to defend against that shot. There's two theories. What you can do is you can reverse your tank and show your rear of your tank, but then it's your weaker armor. I prefer to have my stronger armor facing the enemy. Okay, so I did 1,000 damage, 1,700 spotting damage, spotted a lot of tanks for my team. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is the RU-251. It's a German Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Serene Coast. This tank is a pretty good speed. It currently does 70 kilometers. If you watch other videos where it used to have 80, it doesn't do that anymore. You'll see I already spotted 2 tanks, and this is a typical spotting position that I go to, where you can spot tanks that cross over to that peninsula. And usually you're going to spot everything as long as you got a fast tank and you can snipe at them, and they're probably not going to see you.
Enemy armor is hit. Penetration.
Because of the location, you can also double bush, and you got the house for protection. You do have to watch out for tanks that are off there in that direction. So I was able to do damage to 2 tanks. I got 496 damage. These are APCR rounds. And the reason why I use APCR rounds is because when I play light tanks, I don't shoot the gun very often. It's not a combat tank. And because I don't shoot the gun very often, why not use the best rounds? I switched to the high explosive rounds to knock the house down because it's cheaper to use the HE rounds to knock it down. I want to see if I can expose that M103 who was behind that house. And there he is, unaware of what's going on. Switch back to the APCR. I have the auto aim, but I didn't want to use it. I was using it by mistake. I'm only spotting him right now, but I could easily shoot at him and back up. As if he's about to disappear, I thought he was going to disappear behind the building, so I tried to track him so he couldn't get away. Okay, so there he is. Trying to track him before he gets away so my allies can continue to hit him. Now remember that now at this point I'm spotted and there's an OHO behind me. I see that my allies are going after that OHO, so I want to go help out. If his gun is pointing away from me, there's no reason to get in front of him. Oh, I flubbed that shot. Because I have high ping time, that happens often. The gun just doesn't point. It's a little bit slow to react to how you play. You don't want to be in a position like that against an OHO. Trying to avoid his gun, get that shot in. Scores 5-6. I did 1,400 damage. So I see my allies going up against a T-54. Be a tough match for him. He's a Tier 7 versus a Tier 9. Normally I ram tanks, but because I have a light tank and he's, you know, I didn't want to risk ramming my tank against his. Maybe I could have done it, but I obviously chose not to. So it became a 2-on-2. This is not an even battle for me. But I do have an ally that's near me, and we did get that. Now it's a 3-on-1 situation. The ideal thing to do is wait. That artillery never should have made that incoming shot. I got 2,300 damage, and the score is 7-8. So the arty stunned one of my allies. The tank is fast enough to get around the map, and when you're playing this type of game, you want to get high if you want to spot. There's an SPG in the game. Great place to get up high to spot, and I was able to spot the GW Panther by going up that that slope. So you'll notice that we lost on the heavy tank flank. Now here I'm in a tough position. The score is 7-10. I could go after the GW Panther, but the problem is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 enemy tanks. 5 of them about to enter my base with only an IS-6 and an SPG. And knowing the IS-6, instead of hiding and spotting for the artillery, he's probably going to engage the enemy. He'll probably get taken out of the game. The T-34-100, I don't know if he's heading south or not. I don't know if he's going to be able to help. So I have little choice but to cap, which means the GW is going to be in the game, which means I have to go to that location over here or somewhere in this area in order to avoid the enemy SPG. However, it's unlikely that an enemy tank is going to spot me on the enemy base. Now we're going to count tanks. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks in the game. I see on the minimap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the minimap. So I see the GW, the J Panther, a bunch of heavy tanks. There's one tank missing, which is the key to this game. So I'm starting to cap. If now the smart thing to do, keep the GW spotted. Keep him spotted in case he comes after me. But if he's going to shoot at me, you go in this direction for protection. I've got a minute 26 left on the counter. The smart thing for my allies to do would be for the IS-6 to spot, and for the M12 to wait, or the M12 could fire. But if the IS-6 is spotted, then the ideal thing to do is to maximize the amount of time before you reset the cap. So you want the enemy team to sit on that cap and then reset them to just waste their time so that they're all sitting on the cap, because you don't want them to come back to reset with me. You want them to think that they're going to win, get them up to the point where they're at like 80%, 90%, reset the cap, knock them down to like 50 or whatever, and then they're in a tough position because then I'll be about to cap and they'll be at the base, they'll be unable to cap. But unfortunately, luck is not on my side. What I wanted to do, you notice that there's the Emil and the T-10 advancing north towards the ROM. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get in a position to help out the ROM, and look what it says, spotted T-29. And once he resets the cap, the game's over. Doesn't matter what I do. You'll notice I'm getting off the cap. It's better to stay in the game. So now I'm going to try and help out my ally. Not going to worry about the T-29 because he's too slow, but unfortunately I was taken out of the game. The T-10 obviously was paying attention to what was going on. What I should have done was gotten next to that house. This is the mistake that I've made, but I know the solution. To hit that Emil, you start to think, okay, go in this direction, hit the Emil, but it's not the correct thing to do when there's another tank there. The correct thing to do is to go in that direction so that the house blocks you. The T-10 can hit you, but you can still hit the Emil. So that's the smart thing to do. It might not have worked, but you have to remember, don't always advance that way. You can also advance this way to hit the Emil. And this is going to turn into a loss for us. It was 2,600 damage, 400 spotting damage. But you got to see the spotting position at the beginning of the game. You got to see what happens if that T-29 wasn't there. There's a chance that I would have been able to cap the game and we could have won. You'll note that the IS-6 was killed, so he did not go into a spotting position. The enemy did find him. Okay, let's move on to the next video.
Let's get this show on the road.
This tank is a T-49. It's an American Tier 9 light tank. The map is Siegfried Line. There's many different ways to spot on this map. I'm going to show you one of the methods that you can use. Because I have binocs, I would normally, you want to use a passive spotting location, but there's also active spotting, and you might as well take advantage of it. The enemy will not anticipate this maneuver, and there's two ways to do it. One is to head straight from the center to the east side and just go through all the buildings. Another way is to just swing around here. Let's see how many tanks are spotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks. So we have a little bit of an idea where some of the tanks are going. And the other thing you can do is you can head all the way through to the other end and spot through the gaps in the building. But the problem is you're already spotted. So once you cross over these gaps, the enemy is going to shoot at you. So you can't really rely on that. So I just wanted to show you, and I picked up another spot on the LTTB. This tank is the AMX 1357 GF. It's a French Tier 7 light tank. It's also a premium tank. The map is Siegfried Line. Now, the strategy I use with this type of a map is go out, spot whatever you can as quickly as possible. If you don't get spotted, take some shots at the enemy. Without even trying, I spotted a bunch of tanks. Stay with the hills blocking you. Keep on doing circles if you have to, if you want to keep on spotting. Watch them, and when you see them disappear, go in for another spotting run. Working on a mission to kill 3 SPGs. However, there are only 2 enemy SPGs in this game, so I won't be able to complete that mission. And you see, I went quite far away. You're going to see some sniping action. And just to make clear, the reason why I only did the initial spotting run and came back is because my allies would not have been able to shoot at the tanks that I spotted. So there's no reason to stay out there. What you really need is to go out to that front line, do the spotting run, have all your allies come with you, and hit those tanks while they're out in the open before they make it to the 6th column, where they have no place to hide. And don't even let them get a chance to come into town. But unfortunately, nobody plays that way. There is a video I did with an FCM50T where I show the technique, and it works out really well. So I decided to come back to a further back position. You don't want to be in the town. You want to be out in the field so that your allies can see the tanks. You want to spot the tanks. There's so many hills between you and the enemy that it's very safe to drive over here. If you're on the red line in the south, which is where I'm headed, the advantage is the enemy has to turn its gun further in order to point it towards you versus pointing it to tanks in the town. So it takes a lot longer for them to fire a shot at you. And also being further away means you're less likely to get spotted. As you can see, the tank aims quickly. I got 500 damage. I like playing this particular tank. I like the gun. I like the fact that it's fast firing. It aims rather quickly. I don't think it's that accurate. I don't know about the specs, but from playing, I just don't see the accuracy that I want. Don't have as many rounds. I could use up my rounds real fast, so I'm not going to shoot at unspotted tanks unless it's really a sure thing, especially because it's a heavily armored tank. If it were a weak armored tank, I would have taken a lot of shots at it. 800 damage, which is very good for this particular tank. As you can see, I missed that last shot, and that's what I meant. The accuracy I just don't feel is there. Got 900 damage. The good thing about the tank is that I can move around the map very fast. The tanks that I'm going after, like the M445, he's going to be there for a long time. It's a very slow-moving tank. See that accuracy just isn't very good. And my allies going in. Don't take a risk if your ally is going to help you out. So look at that TOG. He's a one-shot. And the ARL is an easy target. Unfortunately, the TOG is also out of the game. Now, there's another way to deal with this. I made quite a mistake. The enemy light tank is out of the game. The score is 9-4. You don't have to roll up. What you can do is go that way, and you'll still be able to hit those tanks, and I won't be hit by that ARL. You can see that I decided to reload. Scores 9-4. Looks really easy. But you never know what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I flipped the tank. This tank flips a lot. That's one of the issues you got to deal with. I did do 1,400 damage. I got 540 spotting damage. Most of the time, the allies don't even bother helping me. They're going to try, and unfortunately, it's not really going to work out the way they planned for it to work out.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
So as you can see, the Tiger did flip me, but it did enough damage because I was low on hit points, the ramming damage, to kill me. The Tiger got a TK. This is actually the second game tonight with this tank that happened, where I flipped it for no reason. I mean, there was no reason why I should have flipped. And an ally came and tried to rescue me and ended up getting a TK on me. So it's very vulnerable to flipping over. But I wanted to show you the sniping position and the technique. What to do, you go out and make the initial spot run, fall back, and then take up a sniping position, depending on how your allies are supporting you. Yeah, this tank is a Tiger P. This is a German Tier 7 heavy tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to do a capping strategy. I'm going to go straight to the cap. The reasoning being, you want the enemy to be put on, you want to put pressure on the enemy. You want the enemy to do dangerous, risky, stupid moves to try and reset the cap while your team is covering you. And this is a great map to do it on, because you're going to have a lot of allies that can cover you when they're up on that hill. You'll notice I have no camo on this tank. I think it was a mistake because I only had the winter camo, so I assumed that I had all the... Oh, you know what? Something weird happened where it said that the camo was acquired, but I accidentally removed it or something. I don't know what it was. When I went back to re-add it, I didn't have to pay for it. So somehow it got removed from my tank, even though I had paid for it. And it didn't cost me anything to put it back on. You don't want to cap behind this house, because that's where everybody caps. So if you go behind that house, the artillery is going to shoot at that house. You got to be careful when you're over here. If you're a little bit on the right side, you can be easily spotted from the rail. You want to kind of be more over where this guy is, but you know, he's my ally. I'm not going to get right next to him. And you got to be careful on this open road. I get spotted frequently if I am over this open road, because you've got tanks that are going to be over here on the rail sniping you, and they're going to be tanks that have a long reload and do a lot of damage will be sitting up on that rail, so you don't want to be there. I'm not worried about the fact that artillery's looking for me. I'm still going to do my cap strategy. Don't worry about knocking down houses, but try not to. Obviously, you can see I'm knocking down the house that the Emil is behind, because I have a lot of ammo, and it's better to knock the house down than to go looking for him. Let your artillery take out the... Well, the Black Prince I'm not that worried about, because I know he doesn't have a good gun. But he does have good armor. You notice that I'm angling my tank to put that gun right over the inside corner of the tread to give me the best angle. So he bounced off me 3 times. That's a double bushed shot. Now at this point you want to look for cover. You want to get in as much cover as you can. You'll notice that we only see 2 enemy tanks on the minimap, and that's it. So we didn't spot anything on the west side or midfield. Okay, a Ferdinand just popped up. Now, there's a chance that that tank could... No, he's outside of my spotting range. All those tanks are outside of my spotting range, so they're not going to spot me if I shoot at them. Got 1,100 damage and 1,000 spotting damage. We got 2 people capping, and the counter is ticking. So the enemy team has to act. They've got, like, I'm guessing 2 tanks left up on that hill. Plus 2 artillery. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 3 or 4 unknown tanks, 2 of which are on the west side, the Skoda and the RU-251. So there's 2 more enemy tanks. Okay, so the SU just popped up, and the T-69. So now we know that the RU-251 is a threat and the T-69 is a threat. All the other tanks in the game on the enemy team we don't have to worry about because they're either too far away or they're SPGs. So you'll notice that T-69 is going after the IS-6. He's on the base, so they've stopped the capping. I got 1,900 damage. They must have spotted me. I don't have 6th Sense on this tank. That's one of the reasons why I don't like playing it. It's my only tank that does not have 6th Sense. Scores 10-3. So the question is, does the cap strategy work? I definitely think it does. It can backfire, absolutely. The reason why is because the light tanks are very close to you, and they can easily go over into the cap and hunt you down. And also the artillery could get lucky. If they're watching with the view mode, if you knock anything down, the artillery could easily spot you. Now, we were lucky that the enemy did not advance far on the hill. If they had advanced further onto the hill, to that position over there, it would have been more difficult for me. Also, if I were closer to the enemy, it would have been more difficult. You want to be... There's a road right to my left here, right over here. You want to be either in the bushes, like this bush here, or on the other side. But the closer you get to the hill, the more dangerous it's going to be. There are advantages to being close to the hill, but I have more luck being over here. If you're close to the hill, they're going to spot you at some point. If you're on this side, where I was, they're only going to spot you if they do something risky, like going over the middle track, and that's the game. I got 2,200 damage and 1,000 spotting damage. Score was 15-4, and we won the game easily. This tank is the M4190GF. It's a German Tier 8 light tank, and the map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 3,000 spotting damage. I want you to watch the technique that I'm going to use to get that 3,000 spotting damage. Now, one of the things that I like to do, especially if you've got artillery in the game, go straight for the middle of the map, be surrounded by solid objects such as buildings and rocks, spot a bunch of tanks. So now my team has an idea of where the enemy is. And look at that. Look at all those tanks I spotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perhaps I spotted 9 tanks. And we know that they have a strong showing on the east side. Now, lately I've been spotting on the east side. Haven't done it in a long time. What you do is you pick a bush over here. I don't, my favorite bush, I really don't remember where it is. Maybe they've changed it. This is a good area right here. I don't know if I knocked that tree down or not. But over here there's a lot of bushes. And you got a good view of what's going on up there. So this is a good spot to just sit and get spotting damage. And you'll notice that I do not have snipers in the midfield where the Batchat and the RU-251s are. They are light tanks, but they're going to be doing spotting runs, and they're not going to be doing as much sniping as we need. So I'm not going to get as much spotting damage as I really want to get. Only got 500 spotting damage so far on the T-54 and the WZ. You can see that there's no income. Well, there goes an incoming shot. The T-54 Mod 1 is moving up. The T-32 is slow to take up a position. What they're doing is they're sniping at our tanks, so we just lost the Emil. The Emil was taken out by the enemy T-54, which is right in front of me, obviously. So our T-54 finally moved into a position where maybe he'll be able to get some sniping shots on these tanks. I'm only up to 857 spotting damage. Very simple. You can sit here. You can go next to this house over here, knock those trees down. You can go a little bit further back. But you don't want to go too far back, because if you go too far back, you're going to get spotted by tanks like that AMX 1390. Now, the enemy probably knows that there's a spotter somewhere. I think that they're suspicious of the fact that I'm here. I'm up to 1,600 spotting damage. And it's their fault for not coming in and scoping out or scouting out this area. You'll see that a tree fell down in front of me, so there's another enemy tank in front of me on the red line. Climbing up that hill. Up to 2,700 spotting damage. We are losing 4 to 8. We didn't have a strong showing in the midfield, so we lost a lot of sniping opportunities on those tanks heading up that hill. We only have one Skoda defending the hill, and they've got good snipers backing up, so we're in a tough position. For me to sit here is problematic. What I really should be doing is coming up with a new strategy to help out my team. I have to start firing my gun. I'm backing up, starting to take shots, hoping not to get spotted. Scores 4 to 10. Switch to the APCR rounds. Scores 5 to 11. Now this is an example where I did very well for my team. I did a lot of spotting damage, but we just didn't pull through. You'll notice that we lost, our Skoda left the hill. And you can get spotting damage after you die. So I did get 3,000 spotting damage. I did 350 damage with my gun. And you can look at the minimap now and see that there's only 2 tanks left. Unfortunately, we didn't have a strong showing on the west side, which is unusual because we didn't have a strong showing on the east side. How did we lose both flanks? I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe we had too many tanks that just weren't participating. One of the things that can happen in this game, if you're on a flank, we had the enemy spotted. If you're on a flank and there's too many allies on your flank and not enough enemy targets, go to the other flank. That's what you should do. Always relocate to where you're needed, especially if you have a fast tank. And I think that's where we ended up failing in this game. Yeah, this tank is the Leo. This is a, I don't know what country it's from. This is a Swedish Tier 7 medium tank. The map is Prokhorovka. The strategy is that I'm going to go to the town and I'm going to try to spot for my team. Try to do as much spotting damage, maybe some sniping. Depends on the location. There's some locations where you can snipe without being spotted, somewhere you can't. I do have binocs, and the reason why is because I just got the tank. And I use the binocs because it doesn't cost anything to dismount it. And I'm still deciding if I should get a gun laying drive or a vertical stabilizer or the gun rammer. So I'm using the binocs while I determine how the tank is going to do. This tank has a top speed of 60 kilometers, but you're not going to do it with the stock engine. You want to get the upgraded engine. There's 2 engine upgrades. I've only got the first upgrade, and absolutely it makes a huge difference. I love the upgraded engine. I really like the Leo. I enjoy playing it. So here's where I'm scouting out, trying to detect some tanks on their way to the hill. If you have artillery, it's a very smart move, or if you've got tanks in the background that can take shots at them, you can get spotting damage, and those tanks can be softened up before they make it to the hill. Because of the fact that it's a higher tier and people have a longer spotting range, tanks will take a wider path to get to the hill because they want to avoid getting shot. So now this is a pretty good spot where you can camp out have a lot of bushes for cover, even if I didn't take the optimal bush. Okay, so there's the first tank. Now, since they've changed the game, it used to be you could clearly see all these tanks, but now it's a little different. Now the low-profile tanks can be hidden behind the slope. Got another tank that showed up. Now, he knows that there's something here. Watch what happens. Watch what the IS-2 does. He's going to do something that I would have done, but it ain't going to work for him. So these tanks are going to want to shoot at the middle. You want to make sure you've got allies that are going to snipe from the middle. Otherwise, it really doesn't make any sense to take up this position. Note that the IS-2 is advancing in my direction. He knows he's being spotted, but he doesn't know who the spotter is. And it's going to hurt him. Look at that. He's got 30% of his hit points gone. And that LTTB, they know that there's a spotter here. The worst that can happen is that someone can come up from the enemy team along the rails, or that LTTB could come back around and come back and find me. Look at that IS-2. He's almost dead. So you got to worry that LTTB could run around and come back through the houses and find me, or one of these other fast tanks come up through the middle. So you got to watch out for that. Be aware that it could happen. They're really softened up now. I only did 600 spotting damage. Most of it was to the T-29. That IS-2, I didn't get... I don't know if I got any spotting damage because it already bumped off the register. But look at what the LTTB is doing. He's coming in this direction, so you got to watch out for that tank. And he spotted me, and I wasn't ready for him. Now we've uncovered that there's a Scorpion G hiding in the background. Was able to get a lucky shot on him. And I discovered another tank. But look at that, my rear armor was pointing towards the enemy. So it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. When you take up this position, the position I took was over here. And there's always more risk when you're over here. If you get behind these houses, there's also bushes over there. So you really want, when you want to play a safer position, you get behind that house over there and use those bushes for cover a lot safer. The enemy has to take more risks to find you. Okay, so let's move on to the next video. This tank is the AMX 1390. It's a French Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Fisherman's Bay. I'm going to get 2,700 spotting damage. And hopefully my team will have a really good game on the western flank. So what I usually do is I find a bush in this little grassy knoll over here. Sometimes I go for the bush and park, let the binocs turn on, get some spotting damage, try to estimate how many enemy tanks are coming through here. Didn't see anything. You'll notice a T-100 has advanced. And then I do active scouting. And if you watch my videos, you'll know the method that I use in this location, which is basically to drive in circles, pick a target tank. I was already able to get spotted 3 tanks at least. Took some damage. Got 1,500 spotting damage. You got to watch for those tanks in the midfield that are coming after you. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Got the gun in the wrong direction. That was a sloppy move. So I did 600 damage and I got 1,500 spotting. What I should have done was done a handbrake turn to turn my tank around. It'll turn your tank around, give him your frontal armor, and it will turn the gun around really fast. That was 700 spotting damage against the Leopard. I got 2,200 spotting damage. Notice what I'm doing going up on the ridge. Oh, that was lucky. I did a handbrake turn and kept me in the game. Sometimes I think, you know, I want to nail one of these tanks. You know, And in order to nail a tank, you got to get a little bit higher up and expose yourself a little bit more, and you risk being killed. So you got to be really careful if you decide to go after a tank. Like in this case right here.
Critical hit.
One of my shots didn't do any damage.
Bail out. This vehicle has had it.
So I did 2,400 spotting damage. I may have said the wrong number at the beginning of the game. I was killed by the Sheridan. Let's look at where that Sheridan is. He's over there. So the Sheridan was paying a lot of attention to me. I guess I didn't have good situational awareness. I was safe where I was. And one of the problems is when you come out and do this type of maneuver, I fired at that guy. I don't know if I fired 3 shots or 4 shots. I only did damage with 2 shots. One of them definitely did not do any damage. You have to go in knowing that you can take that tank out. And I would not have been able to. If I had connected 4 shots against him, he still would have survived, that Leopard. So it wasn't a wise decision for me to go in after him. But it's something that I did, and the reason why I did it is because a lot of my previous videos were just spotting. This is adding a new strategy, which is spotting and a hit-and-run strategy. Okay, so let's move on to the next video. This tank is the AMX 1357GF. It's a French Tier 7 light tank. It's also a premium tank, and the map is Westfield, right? Yeah, Westfield. This tank has 10 rounds in the magazine. It reloads very quickly, one of the fastest reloading guns in the game. Because it's a premium tank, you have to take it as it is. I'm very happy with it. I enjoy playing this tank more than any other tank in the game. I like the mobility, I like the speed, I like using the gun. What I normally do is come to this area. I'm a little bit higher than I normally am. You have to be careful when you're high because enemy snipers will be right up there and they can proximity spot you. If I pull back, that usually means I'm going to take shots at enemy tanks.
Penetration. Enemy armor is damaged.
Lousy shot. And I really don't think it, considering how fast it reloads, there's not enough rounds in the tank. You could easily use up all your rounds.
Enemy armor is hit. Penetration.
So you got to make sure that every hit counts. Score's already 3-1. We've got 2 other light tanks on my side, and we've got a lot of snipers. It looks like 3 or 4 snipers backing us up. I didn't get any spotting damage. Over here, you're not going to get a lot of spotting damage. You can get a lot of spotting damage, but if the enemy team advances and gets good cover, you're not going to get a lot of spotting damage. And you can see that there's 6 enemy tanks, 7 enemy tanks on this flank.
Penetration. Target acquired. Penetration. Target unlocked. Critical hit.
So what will happen if you try to spot in this area is you'll spend a lot of time trying to spot without getting a lot of spotting damage. You'll notice that my 2 light tank allies are out of the game.
The commander is hurt. He can't focus. Ready to fire. Penetration.
Didn't have enough to take him out of the game. But it actually reloads pretty quickly. I did lose my commander, and I do not have a first aid kit in this particular game. If I had known better, he should have gone straight for that slope, and it could have protected me. Now that LTG, I can't spot anymore because I cannot repair my commander, but I can set up a spotting position to hit that LTG, but someone else is going to have to spot him. And I do know where he's going to be, so it's very easy for me to guess where he's going to be and just take a random shot. Get in these trees, there's no danger, no threat for me. waiting for him to be spotted. I'm really worried that the T-34 is taking too long to spot that tank. You see the T-34 is going in very slowly, and there was no reason to do that.
Target acquired. Enemy armor is hit. Enemy armor is damaged.
Once he's reset, the game's over for the enemy team.
Penetration. Target lost. Got him.
So I did 1,365 damage and 1,200 spotting damage. Got one tank left in the game, which is the Hellcat. You do want to make sure you have any type of perk, skill, or whatever it takes to stabilize your gun, such as Smooth Ride. I don't remember what the other one is. Snapshot is the name of the other one. Smooth Ride and Snapshot are really going to help you with this gun. And that's the game. It was 15-7. It was a fast game, 4.5 minutes, got 2 kills. I did 1,400 damage, 1,300 spotting damage. This tank is the AMX 1390. It's a French Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Arctic region. I am going to get 2,600 spotting damage in this game. This is a great tank. I highly recommend it. What I normally do, because you're spotting, you want to be in the middle of the map. The spotting range is circular, and if you're on the edge of the map, you're not making full use of your spotting range, the full area. So this is the first position I go to. I spotted this tank. I could snipe at him if I wanted, just reverse and double bush. I do have binocs. I do want to keep those binocs on. There is an ally right behind me. I've already got 800 spotting damage. Let your allies soften up the enemy, keep them on their toes, and then head north to where that T-49 is. That's the next move that I would do. As long as because as you can see, look at who's in my spotting range. The Waffenträger, the Foch, and the T-49. So this position is no longer, it's about to end. The limit of spotting is about to occur. Got 1,800 damage. 1,800 spotting damage. Got to get that Foch out of the game, waiting for him to go. The Waffenträger, there's another way to deal with him. It's too bad he got away. The Waffenträger, what I would do is I would proximity spot him instead. I did get the spotting damage on the Foch. I got 1,800 total. So, checking to see if I can do any sniping to soften up the enemy. Advance north. Try not to knock anything down. Always head for bushes when you can. Stay low. Now you want to get that chieftain. The way to do it is to bait him. You want to spot him and force him to come around after you. You can see that there's an FV-4202 behind me, and I can shoot at the FV-42 also, but I gotta watch out for that chieftain. And potentially reload. Let's see how that FV-4202 is. He's no longer a tank that I can snipe at. Now here's a technique you're going to use. You've got 2 snipers behind you, the STA-1 and the STRV-103B. You want to convince the chieftain to come out into this open area and let your allies snipe at him. There's a right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. Unfortunately, I'm going to do it wrong, but watch what happens. You can see right here, his gun is pointed at me. He's coming after me. I've already got him baited. But there's the mistake. He just disappeared. And this is where the mistake is, because you want to keep him spotted and then go as far away as possible. But what I did was I went as far away as possible with him unspotted, and that really screwed me up, because now when he comes around, he's not spotted, and my allies can't see him. And I wasn't thinking straight. I was thinking more about my safety. I went way too far away, realized my mistake. I said, oh my God, the guy's not spotted. Came back, put myself in a very dangerous situation, because now look how far he made it. My allies should have taken shots at him by now, and my allies' guns are probably not pointed at the chieftain, so now it's a very dangerous situation.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
And now if I back up to my normal position, You got an incoming shot from an ally. Gotta get out of here. Another ally shot came in. Now I'm on a 2-on-1 situation. Another ally shot, so we had 3 allied shots come in. And they took me out of the game. Let's see what happens. Another shot on the Chieftain. So the 4 shots on the Chieftain, okay, we just had another one come in, was probably all from the STRV. The 5th one looks like it came in from the WZ. So as you can see, I did it wrong. But remember, I got 2,200 spotting damage. That's a technique I frequently use. Usually I do it correctly. This is the one time I did it wrong. Remember, learn from my mistake. Make sure that the guy is spotted when he comes around, and your allies will kill him because he won't come all the way down in most cases. Yeah, this tank is a T-49. It's an American Tier 9 light tank. The map is Karelia. I'm going to get 3,100 spotting damage. I know it's not a high number, but what's important is the technique. I like this tank because it's got that derp gun. It's great for hit-and-run tactics. What I normally do is I go deep into enemy territory and look for rocks and bushes. I don't have a particular place that I like to go to, but this one is good because you can start here, you can find a few tanks. Hopefully your allies will snipe at them. I've already got 793 and I spotted 3 or 4 tanks. And you can advance. I've got more room to advance. I've got bushes in front of me and rocks in front of me. Plus, those tanks on the right where the VK is, they cannot shoot at me. I'm too far away. You got to worry mostly about the tanks directly in front of you and the ones on the left, which are in the northwest, which are just sitting there. Nobody knows where they are yet. You notice I'm advancing. Advance, turn the binocs on. That Panther needs to go. If that Panther is going to prevent me from enjoying this game. Got 1,200 spotting damage already. But because he's been hit, I also got 450 spotting damage on a Tortoise. Because the Panther's been hit, he's playing a little bit conservative. He's not coming out, and he's going to create problems for me. So I got 479 spotting damage on the Type 61. There's the Panther, and look at where he is. Look at how close he is. He's close enough that he could proximity spot me. He's at 77 meters. If he gets down to 50 meters, I'm in trouble. So I got to keep my gun on him. And I got to be prepared with a plan. If I need to fire, because I could probably take him out of the game. If I fire my gun at him, I need to know where I'm going to run to. I just spotted another tank. I'm asking my allies to fire at this guy. Got spotting damage on the M46, 518 spotting damage. Notice he's at 68. The mistake that I made is I wasn't looking at the distance while I was playing this match. So I thought he was a little bit closer, and I flubbed it. I left him with 18 hit points, and that's enough to kill me. That's enough to cause me more problems. My team has won in the northwest, but I'm getting hit from behind, which really sucks, and I didn't properly handle it, because now I'm always spotted, got someone hitting me from behind, I flubbed another shot. The reason why I have these mistakes is because when I use my auto-aim, I'm using the auto-aim, I don't have the proper audio system to hear when the auto-aim connects, so I think it's connected when it really hasn't. There's no visual indicator for the auto-aim, so I'm not sure if it's connected or not, and that's why I flubbed the shot. It's noisy where I play. So I got 2,600 spotting damage. Luckily, someone took that guy out. Now the question is, what do you do next? We got trouble up on this hill behind me, and there's tanks at the enemy base. Got 2 options for where to play. Either head to the enemy base or try to figure out the trouble behind me. I think the smart thing to do is to go to the enemy base, and the reason why is because my allies are advancing in that direction, and they need to have targets to shoot at. So the Type 61 is over there. He's a potential threat. I should head for this rock. Or he got lousy driving here. So the rock is probably preventing him from shooting at me. And notice I'm keeping that rock between me and him. And there's another rock as I advance. So he wasn't able to really shoot at me. The M46, the question is, can I take him out of the game without any surprises? And that's the word, without any surprises. And there's a surprise.
Everyone get out.
So I guess that tank was unspotted. I guess he was unspotted. It didn't say that I spotted him, and I didn't know he was there. So I got 3189 spotting damage, and that's the game for me. Okay, so it was a good game. If it didn't indicate that I spotted him, then that's a bug in the game, because it should indicate it. Okay, so let's move on to the next video.
Time to roll out.
This tank is the M4190GF. It is a German Tier 8 premium light tank, and the map is Overlord. We're going to see a spotting run. There's a couple different ways to do it. One is to kind of head in the direction that I'm heading. Another one is to do it a little bit more to the left. If you do it to the left, there's a lot of solid objects behind you. If you do it over here, you can pick up a lot of speed and head for that bush over there. You can see you can turn for the bush on the left. I decided to go over. So I spotted a lot of enemy tanks that are in the backfield. And not only that, was it almost got a shot in that ROM while he was on the way there. And look at that. He lost half of his hit points on his way to his sniping position. And normally, he may have gone being unspotted through most of the game. So I got 572, 800 spotting damage, and you'll notice that I took this sneaky position to try and get up into this location. This is not an easy position to play. I take a lot of damage when I'm over here because you can easily get spotted by enemy tanks. You can take incoming from the front and from behind, but it's a powerful position. I can hit tanks behind me and in front of me, so be very careful when you play this position. But it's a position that you're going to want to learn if you're a light tank player. What I would do is, if you see that the enemy team is taking an advanced position on the east side, come up over to here and snipe across those fields over there.
One of our tracks is damaged. We didn't even scratch them.
Okay, so I got 1200 spotting damage. I really just wanted to show how to do the spotting run, and you can see that the enemy is mostly on the west side. Let's move on to another video. This tank is the RU-251. This is a German Tier 9 light tank. The map is Overlord. I used to like this tank until they nerfed it. It used to go 80 kilometers, and now it only goes 70. When it was 80 kilometers, I had a really good reason to play it. When it's 70, why play it? I'd rather play a different tank like an AMX 1390. Why wouldn't you play an autoloader or a T49? This is a standard spotting maneuver. You just head for the middle until you spot something and turn around and come back. Only spotted one tank. Wasn't a very good spotting run. That tells me that the enemy tanks are taking a route that is not towards where the bat chat is. You know, they're going far away, so they're probably going to go to the beach. They're probably headed to the beach. If I didn't spot them, they had to have been heading towards the beach. So you'll notice I am in a spotting bush. I do use the binocs. I started out using binocs, then I switched to not using it. And then I learned that you want to have the greatest amount of spotting equipment as you can. And the reason why is because even though there's a limit of 445, having better equipment allows you to defeat the camouflage of enemy tanks. If an enemy's hiding in a bush and you've got a greater spotting equipment like binocs, you'll spot them in the bush sooner than if you didn't have that equipment. You'll notice that I just went straight over the middle. Unfortunately, there was a tank coming right after me. Luckily, he didn't hit me. you're going to see some interesting tactics in this game. It's not going to be an amazing in terms of spotting damage or kills or anything like that, but the tactics that I use are going to be interesting. You'll notice that from this position, I am safe, meaning that the enemy in front of me can't shoot at me. However, I can shoot across to the east side and hit tanks that might not know that I'm here. Like that T-29. When they go up that ridge, I can hit them if I go further up. So we got the T-29 going up the ridge, and there I can take a shot at him. I'm a little bit too low. I should go higher up in order to get a better view of him. I'm going to have to make an adjustment in order to hit that tank. So this is a sniping position that you can use if you want to stay away from the enemy. I'm just using it in part because all those tanks are already being spotted. If there's already being spotted, there's no advantage to me going over there and spotting for my team. The other reason why is if you've got targets to shoot at, you're going to stay in your position and continue to shoot at those targets. But obviously you're going to always watch what's going on the mini-map, because at some point you'll see that now they're all unspotted on that flank, obviously except for the Chi-Ri, who I may have spotted. So the Lorraine is unspotted, the Tiger is unspotted, the T-54 is lightweight is unspotted. Now they actually need me to go do some spotting runs. When you do spotting runs, it's not something that you only do at the beginning of the game. You have to actively spot throughout the game. You can see that the Udis is asking me to fall back. It is a dangerous position. And I do have only half of my hit points. Now when you go around, there's different positions you're going to use. Because you're shooting right here over the back, you're not going to have good gun depression. And you want to be flat. This is not flat. This is at an angle. Being at an angle is going to make it difficult for me to have the proper gun depression. If I go a little bit to the right of where I am, the surface is more flat, I would have the proper gun depression to hit that tank. You'll notice that as I crossed over to where it's flatter, now my gun depression is better, and I'm able to hit that tank. It was a very important play to take him out of the game. Now the other thing that's important is, if normally you would think if you want to hit that AT-15, you have to go over here on the road to hit the AT-15, but if you do that, the IS is going to hit you. However, if you were able to climb up this rock, maybe you could hit that AT-15, and the slope of the rock would protect you from being hit by the IS. So what you want to do is align your tank so that you can hit that AT-15, but the IS can't hit you. So you got to come up on the slope in order to do it, and if that AT moves outside of that house, notice I can hit that AT-15 if he moves forward or backwards, but the IS cannot hit me. And it's because of the position that I took. And if he tries to come around, if I had snipers in the back, the snipers would be able to assist me, but I don't have snipers in the back. So remember this type of a strategy. Took out the roof of that house. You'll notice that my team is going to need me to spot because I've only got a few players left in the game. And they're all on the west side. Sadly, I wasn't able to take out that AT-15, and he took out my ally, which means that the AT-15 is going to become unspotted. Oh, it looks like he's out of the game. And another tank is out of the game, which was the FCM-50T. The score is 9-9. My team needs me, so this is the type of thing where you either got to find a good spotting bush. So for the STRV, he's going to be your heavy spotter. And I anticipated that a tank would come around the corner. I didn't know it was going to be the T-54 lightweight. Now from this position, hopefully someone can hit that IS. Looks like someone did take a shot at him. You'll notice that I turned my entire tank around so that my frontal armor is facing the IS. and I'm moving so that he can't hit me. Got to his side. Maybe I'll take him out of the game. I went a little bit too far for the rear gun depression. Leave him with 1 hit point left. Scores 13-9, and he's out of the game. The UDAS was able to take him out. So now the T-54 lightweight, he's low on hit points, and we don't know the status of the Lorraine. Luckily, we still have the Artie. You want to spot for Artie. If all I'm going to do is reverse as fast as I can. You see, the Artie signified that he's planning on shooting in that position. I'm only... Look at that. Look at that. I could have taken out the T-54. Could have hit either of those tanks. Unfortunately, I targeted the wrong tank, so I did not get a shot on the T-54, but someone else did take him out. Now, what I'm doing is I'm not so focused on shooting at the Lorraine. If his gun is away from me, I will shoot at him. I just want to play games with him. I want to keep him confused because we got the LTTB who can potentially shoot at him. The UDAS is moving up. The Artie's waiting for him to be open. The T-20 is going to be in a shooting position soon. So you just want to keep him busy. Unless he's vulnerable, and he was. And I was able to take that final shot. So you only take the shot if it's guaranteed. Otherwise, you just keep him busy and let your allies circle in on him. I got 1,500 damage, 1,390 spotting damage. Wasn't the greatest game, but like I said, the important thing was I had some new tactics I had to do, and I found some new sniping positions that I didn't use before. This tank is the RU-251. It's a German Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Overlord. You should see some good action in this game. Now, there's a couple different ways to spot on this map. You really want to get some early intelligence to see where the enemy is going. Are they going eastwards to the farming area? Are they heading to the beach, etc.? So what you do is you go up here, just go as far as you want. And look at what I spotted. Somebody did hit me. Got 2 hits. And what you can do is you can get behind that structure there, and you can use it as a sniping position. Now, let's see what the minimap says. They're definitely going to where the farming plantations are. And they didn't really take up where the heavy tanks usually go. So we got a lot of heavy tanks, which are right over there. All these tanks, and they might not have anybody to shoot at. So they don't have... they're in a bad... Our allies here are in a bad position in terms of confronting the enemy. That means they got to move fast. So we need people on the beach, and we need people on the field. And I came here to this sniping position. Obviously, I took some damage. But from here, other people play here. I haven't played here very often. I wanted to see what it was like. Now we see where the enemy heavy tanks have shown up. And I was right. They haven't shown a strong force. We've got them way outnumbered on our flank. And the enemy has us way outnumbered on the other flank. So the early spotting is very useful, but my team did not... I don't see them really taking advantage of the intelligence. What they should be doing is going after enemy tanks. They should be advancing fast on this flank. Wow, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 tanks versus 2, and our tanks are not advancing. Okay, so a few of them, 1 or 2 are advancing.
They killed our driver.
I took a hit from that tank, wasn't able to go over quick enough. But luckily, the enemy team has us greatly outnumbered, and they're not advancing. One of the good things is we do have the enemy spotted. I know that it's weak on this side, so I'm going to go look to see if I can get some suckers. I'm going to see if I can find a lone tank that I can put some bullets into. Rear gun depression, not good on this RU-251. Saw Pershing, decided to change course, saw a tank I could go after. Got 2 friends, so I had to leave. Looking for an open shot, didn't have one. Stayed low, didn't go high. Didn't want him to hit me. Now, when you go after these tanks, you have to make sure you can see them before you come around the corner. Take a look. See, I'm taking a look to see where his gun is. Their guns were pointed at me. Got to get out of there as fast as possible. I took a shot, and I took 2 shots. So I tried to look around the corner, and it was a little too late. If I had to do it over again, I would have done a handbrake turn or stopped because I had 2 guns pointing at me. It was a poor decision to come around that corner. Would have still been in the game. And of course what I would have done is I would have gone around, gotten up to the higher level, and tried to come behind them, hoping that their guns were still pointed in that direction. Okay, so let's move on to the next video. This tank is the RU-251. It's a German Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Swamp. This used to be a really fun tank to play. Used to go 80 kilometers. They nerfed it down to 70 kilometers. And by doing so, it makes me not as interested in playing it. The only reason why I liked playing it was because it had that faster speed. And they took the unique element out of the game. When you approach here, make sure you head through those bushes because you want that extra cover. I've already spotted the enemy tank. He did not spot me. And watch what I do here. Look at that. Look at all those tanks I spotted. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was able to spot 4 enemy tanks. We got an idea of where the enemy SPG is. We've got 3 tank destroyers. And this is a position, it's not the safest position. I'll explain why. When I'm in this position, a lot of tanks dive down over this cliff and land on top of me. I only got 1 sniper supporting me, which is the J Panther. So be careful when you're in this position. The good thing is that you can hide in these bushes, but you will get proximity spotted. And remember, you're a little green dot on that map, so they know you're there. Somebody hit that SPG. I spotted another T-54. Got great shots on the back of that tank. And look at what's happening. The ROM is right behind me. Finally got a shot. Look at what the ROM is doing. Jumped right on top of me. So I got to hightail it out of here. And you notice you don't have the rear gun depression on this tank. I don't know if I can get a side view. If you look at the tank from the side, notice the rear gun depression is not good. So it's very difficult to hit him on the run. What I would need to do is you want to drive through the water so that you're low. The position that I took is wrong. What I should have done was stayed in the water and continued in the water that way. Being where I am is making me higher, which makes it easier for him to hit me. And the other thing I could have done is gone behind that rock right there. Now there's another position that's really safe, and it's behind that rock, which is in front of the camera. There's a slope over there, and there's a hill, and you can sit right over there where the hill and the slope is. You can snipe at those tanks off in the distance. You got places to run to hide, and the tanks that are up on the top, if they want to come after you, they got to run out in the open along this. It's a lot more dangerous for them to come down here, and your snipers can protect you. So that's the position ideally that you want to make it to. When you play light tanks, one of the things you want to do is look for a vulnerable target and get behind it and hit it as many times as you can. You'll notice that he can't turn his gun around to shoot at me. He's not going to be able to shoot at me. And always make sure that your last shot is timed so that you fire it right when you're out of there. Now this next clip is a technique that you want to practice if you're a light tank player. Basically, you're going to target an enemy and you're going to use the buildings, the solid objects, to defend yourself. And you're going to probably use the auto aim. And you're going to shoot at him through the gaps of the buildings. But because there's a lot of solid buildings and you're a fast-moving object, it's going to be hard for him to lock onto you. It's going to be hard for him to shoot back at you. So I'm looking for the green thing to open through the gaps of the building. And unfortunately, I only tracked him. I got 2 critical hits. No, I only got 2 critical hits is what I've gotten so far. A lot of the shots missed. And I got some sloppy driving here. It's possible because of my high ping time, 150 millisecond ping time. When you have a high ping time, weird things happen. You miss all the time. So I was able to hit him 3 times, and I should have hit him more often than that. But that's a technique that you want to practice. This is going to be a spotting technique. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You can head to those doors, or you can head to the train, which is where I'm going to go, on the corner. Or if you're fast, you drive over to kind of like the middle of the map where the gap is. So what I do, because this is not a fast enough tank, I come over here and I spot and snipe. You see I hit that tank. Only did 88 damage. One of the tanks got through without me spotting him. You'll notice that my spotting range is not that great. The Type 34 may have hit a little because he got hit. The other good thing about this is we can get an estimate of how many tanks are heading to the east side. You'll notice that there's not that many. The Skoda made it across without me spotting him. And you'll see that they know that I'm here. So I just wanted to show this position. Get to there as quickly as you can, the beginning of the game. Try to spot whoever you can. Look at my spotting range. If you have great, amazing spotting, you're going to see anything that crosses, but I don't have that. Because it's it's a Chinese tank. This is a new crew because I'm splitting up to the light tank line. And snipe whenever you can. Now, the other thing is, if the enemy starts to retreat, they have to cross over through this area also. So if you notice that the enemy is retreating, also come to this position and set up in the same way so that you can snipe. Now, the other thing that you want to do is you'll notice that you've got 2 trains here. There's a little mound and there's the building. If you're where the trains are, because of the gaps between the trains, you're going to spot anything that crosses. And you're going to have the trains to block any incoming fire. From this position, obviously it blocks incoming fire from the direct south, but I can't spot anything in the direct south. So that's why you don't want to be in this position. You want to be more where the trains are. Obviously, if someone is shooting at you, you can reposition to here for safety. Oh, and there is artillery that did hit me, so you have to be aware of whether or not artillery is in the game. This tank is the RU-251. It's a Tier 9 German light tank. The map is Winterberg. In this game, you're going to see some hit-and-run tactics. In order to do hit-and-run, you need one of 2 things. You need a fast tank, and ideally, a tank that can do a lot of damage in a short period of time, such as a tank with a derp gun. So good tanks would be the Cromwell with the high-damage derp gun, a T-49. The Tier 10 light tanks, I don't know yet because I don't own any. An autoloader like the AMX 1390 or 1375 or 1357. The Chinese T-34-1 and the Chinese T-34-2. Okay, so I've been going to this position for spotting. You can't really spot a lot of tanks from that position, but you will spot a tank or 2. You just won't spot a lot. And you might not have snipers to back you up. But where the Type 62 is, very common for enemy tanks to go to that position. And obviously you want to get behind him. His rear is always going to be facing his base. So you want to go from behind, not in front. Now, if I had to do it over again, You can do a handbrake turn if you want, so that you don't have to cross over in front of him. So basically you'd get behind him, shoot at him, do the handbrake turn, go back the way you came. So I took some incoming artillery, did some damage to me. And we did take the Type 62 out of the game. And you'll notice that the flank is completely cleaned out as far as we know. Any tanks that we knew about are gone. And ideally what you want to do is spot as much as you can. Where the T-54 Mod 1 is, he should go and do as much spotting so that we don't have any surprises back there. For the UDAs, obviously you have to knock that wall down. Now, turn right, go up the slope, get more elevated to hit that Tiger P. It's sad that I missed him. You want to go after them when they're stunned. And you notice the RU-251 is going after the T-54. Those artilleries, you know, they'll go after you again and again and again. Because the reason why they'll do it is because they'll do more damage to a light tank than to a heavy tank. So they have an advantage to hit light tanks. And they'll keep going after you. I have games where I get hit again and again and again. So I guess the artillery hit me like 3 or 4 times. Okay, so the score is 6-3. I did 850 damage, 1,000 spotting damage. But I wanted to show you the hit and run style tactic. This wasn't a great hit and run, but you double team the enemy. If the artillery wasn't taking shots at me, or if I had outrun the artillery properly, I'd still be in the game. I hope you enjoyed today's videos. If you want to join my clan, it's at CBKS and CBKS2. I have another clan called CBSPG, which is for people who like to play SPGs. You know, at least 20% of the time, you're going to find some good SPG players in that clan. It's very important, if you like my videos, please subscribe and like the videos. I don't have a lot of subscribers right now, and it's difficult to justify making videos. I put a lot of time. It takes, you know, hours and hours and hours to make these videos. And if you want it, I would absolutely make videos every day similar to what you saw today if I had, you know, a couple thousand views every time I uploaded a video. So if you want to see more videos, please subscribe, add some comments, tell me what you think, like the video. If you have any questions or comments, or if there's anything that you want to see, please put it in the comments below.